In August of 2016, one man moved 120,000 Bitcoin out of a company that was supposed to be keeping it safe. He did it in a single afternoon. More than 2,000 transactions, one after another, draining an exchange called Bitfinex. At the time, that Bitcoin was worth about $71 million. 6 years later, it would be worth $4.5 billion. And here is the strange part. He almost never got to spend any of it. This is the story of a hacker, his wife, and the largest pile of stolen money in the history of the internet. A fortune so big and so radioactive that touching it was the one thing that could destroy them. They tried to touch it anyway, and one of those attempts came down to a $500 gift card. Let's start with who these people were. Ilya Lichtenstein was a technology entrepreneur. He had co-founded a startup that went through Y Combinator, the most famous startup accelerator in the world. On paper, he was exactly the kind of person Silicon Valley celebrates: smart, technical, ambitious. His wife was harder to explain. Heather Morgan wrote for Forbes as a contributor. She ran a marketing business, and in her spare time, she was a rapper. Not privately, publicly. Under the name Razzlekhan, she released music videos where she called herself the Crocodile of Wall Street. She rapped in a gold tracksuit in the middle of New York's financial district. She built an entire persona around being the loudest, strangest entrepreneur in the room, which, when you are secretly sitting on a mountain of stolen Bitcoin, is an unusual choice. But we are getting ahead of ourselves, because in 2016, nobody knew any of this. Nobody even knew who had done it. Here is what happened to Bitfinex. Bitfinex was one of the biggest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world. Think of it like a bank for Bitcoin. Customers deposited their coins, and the exchange held them. To move Bitcoin, you need something called a private key. A private key is like a master password. Whoever holds it can move the coins, and the blockchain will treat that move as completely valid. It does not ask whether you are allowed. It only asks whether you have the key. Lichtenstein later admitted that he spent months studying Bitfinex's systems. He found his way into the servers that controlled the exchange's coins, and once he had the credentials he needed, he started moving money. More than 2,000 transactions, around 120,000 Bitcoin. Gone. Then he deleted the logs, the records that might have shown what he had done and how. An important note here, because it matters. Prosecutors say Lichtenstein did the hack alone. His wife was not part of it. In fact, he did not even tell her he was the one behind it until more than 3 years later. For now, remember this? He had the money. But having stolen Bitcoin and being able to use stolen Bitcoin are two completely different problems. To understand why, you need to understand what makes Bitcoin different from cash. If someone steals a briefcase of cash, the money is anonymous. A $100 bill does not remember where it has been. Bitcoin is the opposite. Every single transaction is recorded permanently on a public ledger that anyone in the world can read. The moment Lichtenstein moved those coins, he created a trail. And that trail would exist forever. So he had a problem. Everyone could see the stolen coin sitting in his wallet. They just did not know it was him. The second he tried to turn that Bitcoin into real, spendable money, he risked connecting his name to the theft. His solution was to wait. For almost 6 months, the money did not move at all. He let the noise around the hack die down. Then, in early 2017, he started the laundering. And this is where the story becomes something close to a master class in paranoia. He moved the coins through what are called peel chains. Imagine peeling a tiny sliver off a giant block of money, sending that sliver forward, then peeling another again and again, thousands of times until the trail is a tangled mess. He pushed money through a darknet marketplace called Alphabay to break the chain. He converted Bitcoin into privacy coins like Monero, currencies specifically designed to hide where money goes. He used mixing services which blend your coins with everyone else's to confuse anyone watching. He created fake identities, accounts under other people's names, with matching fake emails spread across multiple exchanges. It was sophisticated. It was patient. And for a while, it worked. But here is the thing about laundering money. At some point, the whole exercise is pointless unless the money comes out the other end as something you can actually use. And that final step, turning it back into real money, is where they kept slipping. Because eventually some of that money had to land in an account with a real name on it, a real bank, a real address. One account had been opened years earlier in Lichtenstein's own name, with his real driver's license and a selfie. Money from the hack flowed into it. He used it to buy gold coins, and he gave his real home address for the delivery. Gold, at least, made some sense. It is portable. It sits outside the blockchain. Morgan would later admit that she buried some of those gold coins to hide them. But then, there were the smaller things, the everyday things. And this is where the whole operation starts to look almost human. 3 accounts belonging to the couple and Morgan's business received around $2.9 million in Bitcoin over 4 years. Almost all of it was converted into ordinary dollars and pulled into their bank accounts. When the exchanges asked where the money came from, they said it was early investments, gifts, payments from customers. One of those supposed customers was a Hong Kong advertising company that sent $130,000. Investigators looked for that company. It had no website, no business. It did not appear to exist. And then there is the gift card. On a day in May of 2020, a small amount of Bitcoin, less than 1 coin, was sent from the laundering network to a service that sells prepaid cards. What came back was a $500 Walmart gift card. Sit with the size of that for a moment. This was a couple connected to billions of dollars in stolen cryptocurrency. And here they were, cashing out a piece of it into a $500 gift card. It gets better. That gift card was then used to shop on Walmart's iPhone app. The orders used Morgan's name, one of her email addresses, and the couple's real home address for delivery. Investigators found around 16 of these prepaid card purchases from the same pool of stolen money. Almost every single one traced back to an internet connection, leased to Lichtenstein. Think about the contradiction. Money that had been pushed through darknet markets, privacy coins, mixers, and fake identities across the globe. All of that effort. And it ended with ordinary shopping, delivered to their front door, under their real name. The sophistication was destroyed by the convenience. But none of that, on its own, was the thing that brought them down. The real ending was quieter, and it was worse. Investigators had been pulling on threads for years. Blockchain analysis. Records from Alpha Bay after law enforcement shut it down. Failed identity checks at exchanges. Shared internet addresses. And that gift card tied to their home. Slowly, all of it pointed in one direction. In 2021, agents got a search warrant for Lichtenstein's cloud storage account. And inside, they found the entire operation written down. There was a spreadsheet listing his fake exchange accounts, their passwords, and notes on which ones had been frozen. There was a folder of fake identities. There was a file with links to vendors selling forged passports. And there was one file that mattered more than all the others. It contained the addresses and the private keys for the wallet holding the vast majority of the stolen Bitcoin. Almost 95,000 coins that had never been successfully laundered, still sitting there, untouched. The keys to the largest pile of stolen money on the internet, saved, in the thief's own cloud account. The files were encrypted, but on the 31st of January, 2022, investigators broke through. Within days, the government moved around 94,000 Bitcoin, worth $3.6 billion into its own control. At the time, it was the largest financial seizure the Justice Department had ever made. On the 8th of February, 2022, Ilya Lichtenstein and Heather Morgan were arrested in Manhattan. So how does it end for them? In August of 2023, both pleaded guilty. Lichtenstein admitted to the money laundering conspiracy, and for the first time, he admitted that he was the hacker. Morgan pleaded guilty to laundering as well. There is a legal detail worth noting. Lichtenstein was never actually convicted of the hack itself. By the time charges came, the deadline to prosecute the original theft had already passed. He was punished for laundering the money, not for stealing it. In November of 2024, Lichtenstein was sentenced to 5 years. Morgan was sentenced to 18 months. A lighter sentence because she was not part of the original theft and learned of it years later. And then, something almost fitting happened. Neither of them served the full sentence. Morgan was released after around 8 months. Lichtenstein was released in January of 2026 after roughly 14 months under a prison reform law. To be clear, this was not a pardon. It was an early release program. He walked out and thanked the president on social media. Morgan, true to form, posted a video from a bathtub welcoming her followers back. Here is what the story really comes down to. Ilya Lichtenstein pulled off one of the largest thefts in the history of money, and the punishment, in a way, was written into the crime from the very beginning. He stole a fortune that grew faster than he could ever safely spend it. Every attempt to turn that Bitcoin into real money forced him to touch the real world. A bank, an exchange, a delivery address, a gift card. And every one of those touches left a mark. The more valuable the money became, the more dangerous it was to move. So most of it just sat there for 6 years. Watched by the whole world, spendable by no one. And in the end, the keys to it all were found exactly where he left them, in a file, in the cloud, waiting to be opened. He stole $4.5 billion, and the thing that finally caught him was a $500 gift card sent to his own front door. If you want more stories like this one, there is a new documentary every week.